Thank you for joining the presentation 7 Ways to Transform Your Digital Marketing Presence so you can get more customers and boost your cash flow. So what are you going to discover by joining this presentation today? Some of the things we're going to look at is how to generate more leads and inquiries, and more importantly ROI, being return on investment from your digital marketing. How to turn your website into a marketing machine to get you those customers and inquiries you're looking for. We're going to look at how to set up your digital marketing presence for unique positioning. So how to position your business uniquely even if you are in a crowded market. We're going to look at how to increase the value of what you have to offer so customers are willing to pay more for your products and services. We're going to look at how to quickly build up trust online before people meet you. So even if you haven't met them before, they've already trust you and you've got a trusted relationship with that prospective customer. We're going to look at online advertising systems like Facebook and Google. Maybe you're running some ads at the moment, but how do you get better bang for buck from those campaigns you're running? And more importantly, we're going to look at implementation. So what's needed to really improve and optimize your online presence. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough time at the moment to do any of this and you want to watch the presentation but you just don't have time to implement it. How do you outsource these things? What do you do yourself? What do you get someone else to do? And we'll be talking about much more as well. So stay tuned, and this is what we'll be talking about today. So who am I? My name's Jordan Mullen and I'm the founder of a digital marketing firm that's been running for over 10 years. So formerly called Web-Based Marketing, we've recently rebranded to Thrive Digital. We've worked with a range of industries and markets, and so we've got a really good grasp of different markets, whether commercial, B2B, B2C, various different industries. We've worked with small businesses, so Soho and SMEs, so small office, home office, and small to medium enterprises, and we have also worked with a number of large companies turning up to $50 million per year, which are now ASIC listed companies. And what do we do? What do we specialize in? So what I actually think we specialize in is something that's quite broad. So strategic approach to digital marketing with a content-driven approach. So a lot of people say, oh, look, we do SEO, we do SEM. They use all of these acronyms. We might do branding, or we do websites. Where we come in is we look at the strategy that pulls all that together in the context of a result that you're looking for. And typically that result is a lead that you want to turn into a sale, because you're running a business and you need to increase your sales and cash flow to keep your business afloat. So that's our focus, is strategic digital marketing, bringing all the elements together and really bringing a focus to your marketing. A lot of people have had a lot of different opinions and a lot of various different advice over the years. So we bring in the right focus based on the outcome you're looking for. So some businesses, it's all about getting droves of new customers. Some businesses, about getting the right type of customers. In a lot of cases, some businesses want both. So we want to bring that focus into your marketing to get you the results that you're looking for. Now, you've probably heard this all before, people promising results, but just stay tuned, because I just want to show you some snippets of the type of strategies we've used to actually get those results. Now, at any point in time, if you want to book a strategy session, a digital marketing strategy session, press the button below this video and you'll be taken to a form and we can get in touch with you. So you can do that. You can watch the whole presentation, or within 10 minutes you're saying, okay, we want to talk to these guys, feel free to press that button below. So who can we help? So you're probably saying, can this guy help me and my business? So we've worked with a range of different industries and markets, as we said. So some of the industries we have worked very successfully in has been professional services. So accountants and lawyers, financial planners, real estate professionals. Home improvement companies, so builders, renovators, tradies is a big vertical we've worked in. We've also worked with a lot of experts and consultants, so anyone who has advice that they sell. Or even coaching, where they're helping people into some kind of specific outcome they're looking for through coaching. So if you're an expert or a consultant or a coach, this presentation's for you. Maybe you're in healthcare, maybe you're a doctor, you're a dentist, or you have care services. So we have done a lot of work in that space and help businesses in that area. And anyone who has a high ticket retail product, so appliance stores, furniture stores, so probably more you'd say the bigger retail products. So this presentation and our experiences of working with these businesses would be applied to these types of industries. We also have done work with startups as well, and we're finding that more and more. But if you're in those core industries, you're in very good industries that work really, really well for effective digital marketing. So what are some of these industries saying about us? Darren Laudenbach, co-founder of Milestone Financial, which is one of the top few percent AMP financial planners in Australia, they've basically said all of their business comes from their website marketing. We've got a renovator that we've worked with, Matt May from New Look Renovations in Canberra. We run campaigns for him, and we solidly book out his work in advance. And they do, very high-end and medium-end kitchens for people, and bathrooms as well. So he's a renovator. John Hitchen from the Appliance Gallery, director there, and he added, first year we started working with him, another $500,000 to his turnover. We've got a plumber. We literally doubled his business from his digital marketing. It was going from 250 jobs a month to 580. And a training organization where in the first 12 months we were able to double the intake of students and revenue of that business. So there are a few people that we've worked with and a few comments of what people are saying, and we've got plenty more as well. So problems, what's your problem? Everyone has some kind of problem in business, and I find there's two types of problems. There's either business problems or marketing problems. So let's look at this. So some of the business problems we find is just people aren't getting enough customers. So some people feel they are getting customers, but maybe they're not even getting the right type of customers. They find they've got a roller coaster of cash flow. So it really has peaks and troughs based on the situation in the market. There's no real consistency. And cash flow can also be affected by profitability. So they're not getting profitable clients. They're getting customers, but they're not the ones that are willing to spend more money. Dealing with annoying, time-wasting clients is a common problem as well. So not the right people. People who do not value, who are not valuing your products and services. Maybe another problem you're experiencing is you just feel like a number. You think there's too many people in your market at the moment, and it's starting to become quite crowded. Or maybe you feel like you're not cutting through to your right market and target audience. So there's some of the typical business problems that people are experiencing. Then you've got marketing problems. So some of the common marketing problems is people just feeling overwhelmed. Like, do I need social media? Do I AdWords, SEO, branding company, web development companies, and so on. And they're all sharing their different opinions and advice. And who do you trust? Who do you listen to? Do you go to a branding agency that's focused on nice branding and nice fonts and nice imagery, which I think is important, but it's not the be all and end all? Or do you deal with a techie company and they might talk quite technical and talking about all these different IT systems and platforms you could use? And I find a lot of people get overwhelmed with that. And also web design companies. Do you just spend all this money on a new website and that's going to solve all your problems? So I could say just being overwhelmed by the options and really not knowing who to deal with. So this presentation is for you if you have any of those problems, because in this presentation we're going to be looking at 7 ways to transform your digital marketing presence so you can get more customers and boost cash flow. So let's start going through these. The first way to optimize your digital marketing presence is to speak to the problems and needs of your customers. You need to cut through all the noise and get their attention. So it's really not about you. Like, there's a lot of noise in the market at the moment, and people go into that noise and they just sound a trumpet about how great they are. When in marketing, it's really not about you. Now, there is a place where you need to position yourself and say what you do, but to get cut through, you really need to speak into the problems and needs of your customers. So you've got to cut through that noise and speak directly into that individual's circumstances. So there are 3 really important questions you need to ask yourself, and then you need to ask yourself these questions and look at your digital marketing presence and say, is my digital marketing presence really addressing those things? So you've got to ask that question. Who are they? Who is the avatar of who you're trying to target? What are their problems? What are their pains? What are their frustrations? And then what do they want? What are they really looking for? A lot of content can be technical, can be informative, but not necessarily speaking into the needs of the customer. So to get cut through, you need to speak directly into your customers' needs with their problems and their needs. So I call these emotional triggers. So there's basically common emotional triggers that I find that there are. There's The three main ones are problems to be solved, fears to be eliminated, and desires to be fulfilled. Now, one of the main things about these emotional triggers is you shouldn't guess them. You should find out the facts. A lot of people say, we know what our customers want, they do all this guesswork, and they find their marketing didn't perform very well. It's because they thought they knew what their customers wanted, they didn't actually find out the facts. So one of the things you need to do is rework your content to be more focused on them. So ask those questions, find out the facts, and then rework your content. Now, you may not be the best content writer. There's two parts to writing content. One is getting the messages right, and the second one is actually getting it written. A lot of people go to a content writer, get it written, feel disappointed that it doesn't reflect who they're trying to target. So getting those messages right is critical before you even touch any development of content. But when you're at that point, yes, rework your content to be more focused on them and their needs and their problems. The second way to transform your digital marketing presence is to position yourself as a unique expert. So yes, it's not about you, but you do need to be positioned correctly. And you need to stop being a number and become an expert in something. So so don't be a number in a crowded market. There are a lot of people saying the same thing about who they are and what they do. You need to be different. You need to say something that's more unique than everybody else. And not too unique where people don't understand what you do, but just having that unique positioning across your competition to show more value. So what's the difference between branding and unique positioning? A lot of branding companies say you need to have a good brand in the marketplace, and there's truth in that. But what I like to look at is something a lot more cut through, which is unique positioning. So you really need to look at, what is it that you do differently than everybody else, and really looking at those problems in the market and positioning yourself as something unique that solves that problem and fulfills some kind of promise that will help them fulfill their needs. So to do this, you need to basically define your core points of difference and go through an exercise of doing that. And then you need to make that clear in all the right places. So when I'm reading content, I just go, this is saying all the same stuff. There are things you need to say to your market that essentially does resonate with them, but you need to find those little unique points of difference to then start to integrate into your content to build more value. The third way to improve your digital marketing presence to get more leads and inquiries is to communicate to build value in what you offer, so you can charge premium pricing. Now this is critical. This is what we just talked about before, was your positioning of your company and gearing that towards the pains and problems and frustrations of your market. Then you do need to package up what you offer to be a lot more valuable than the way that people are perceiving it right now. Because if you're not commanding higher prices and people aren't paying those high prices, you're going to be leaking cash flow and profits in your business. So let me ask you this question. Has anyone ever questioned your pricing? Has it been frustrating? How did you feel? Did you feel devalued in your business because they said you're charging too much? There's a reason why they question your pricing. It's because they didn't see your value. So what you need to do is actually optimize the value of what you offer. And with a business, you probably offer some kind of product or some kind of service or a combination of the two, which I would say is some kind of solution. And you might have a range of different key products that you offer. A lot of companies have lots of products that they try to market, but getting them down to your key ones and then optimizing the value of that to your market through, once again, your content. So we're talking a lot about content, and this is where we come from in Thrive Digital. We know that the content that you use in your marketing is really king. As they say, content is king, and it helps you get the right customers and them understand your uniqueness and value. So with these offerings, once you know what your core offerings are, you need to find those nuggets of value, and there's exercises to do that. So one of the things is you need to look at the features of what you do, but a lot of people focus on those features, and those features can be quite technical. They're important to communicate because you need to show what your service or what your product does that's different. But more importantly, you need to focus on the result and the outcome of what you have to offer, because the real value is in the outcome. So for example, if you're a financial planner, you could be talking all day about how many meetings you're going to have and the great document you're going to write and so on. But the real value in financial planning is how someone is helping an individual increase their financial position. So if you can talk about that result more, and maybe it's not even just that financial position, but what does that financial position help that specific individual in? And what are those common desires, which we talked about before? Maybe you're an accountant, and there's accountants are everywhere. So what is it that you do, and what result can you offer? And possibly looking at profitability. Maybe you're some kind of personal trainer. Obviously the result there is how much weight people lose or the increase of well-being. So you really need to talk about these results. The thing about results is they can seem like, people have seen a lot of false promises out there. So to say a result or an outcome, you really need to prove it. You need some social proof. You need evidence to show that you can deliver the result that they're looking for. It could be testimonial based, where you've got people saying things about you and your business. Or if you're in more of a home improvement company, it could be the work that you've done, and your work speaks, the images speak 1,000 words of how great your work actually is. So you need to prove that what you promise you can deliver, and that needs to be integrated into your website. So the content, communicating the value and the benefits of what you do is critical, and then having that evidence in the website as well, so they can see that. And a lot of people say, well, testimonials, how do you know that they're true? They can be a bit fluffy and so on. We're finding a lot of clients are now using video testimonials. How they're worded sometimes they can all sound quite similar, but being quite specific with those testimonials, and even having supportive photos can actually help as well, and links to websites and so on, depending if you're in a B2B industry. So there is a way to build that credibility through evidence. So one of the things you need to really look at is what you have to offer, and how do you create more value in that offering, and finding those little nuggets of value that will really dramatically increase that. What I've got here is the word premium. Position you as a premium service, so people are willing to charge more, and you can command high pricing for what you do if the value is there and it can be proven. The next way to improve your digital marketing presence is offering the next step. This is where everybody fails in lead generation. It's just not clear what you need to do next. And the note about this is people buy when they're ready to buy. So obviously there's a point where someone makes a transaction, but that point can take time, and it doesn't happen straight away. So it can take sometimes months. Like, I work a lot with builders, and a lot of the marketing you do now will be getting contracts for 6 months away, because people do that research now. So you really need to understand the buyer's journey. You need to be patient, and you need to invest in marketing and looking at more like harvesting, rather than this microwave magic exercise where you press a button and you've got all these new customers. So to communicate this to you better, I've come up with this process of what I find people take today when they're purchasing. And if you just look at this process in your business context, and you apply these things, and you create systems to manage these things, you are going to get a far greater result from your marketing. So what we've got here is identify the problem and need, which is the first place people start. So they might not be ready to buy, but they identify their problem and need. Then they conduct research. They look around, they go on Google, they talk to their friends, they see what's coming up on social media feeds. Then they decide to find a product and service to solve that problem. So they've got this information, they say, I need this thing. And then they start looking around. And at that point, people are looking at competitors and pricing and so on. And that's where the value uniqueness comes in, which is what we've been talking about. Then you've got making a decision on a purchase. That's the point that obviously we want people to get to. And then you've got referrals and next purchases. So let's just talk about this for a moment. So obviously this is what you want. You want someone to make a decision for what you have to offer. But to get people to get to that point of decision, something needs to happen, and they need to see your value and your uniqueness, and they need to trust you. So where most people work is they fight in this space. They do a lot of their marketing in that that point where they're looking for the product and service. Now, there it's a bit of a competition fight, and that's where every business is trying to get business, is when they're ready to buy. Now, that's a good place because those people are ready to buy, but they can be looking for different quotes. So obviously what's critical there is building your value, building your uniqueness, showing how you're different, and and understanding that you have competitors and you need to show that you are different. But you should really start at the start of the process, because if you can start earlier in, you've got more time in the game to start building a relationship with these people. So when people are Googling and they've got a problem and they've got a need, that's the good point that you can actually start the marketing process. And what happens is they go to that research stage. So if you can target that problem and that need, and while they're researching that in that research stage, you've got huge opportunity here. First of all, you can start to grow your database. So people look for information, and a lot of people are willing to exchange a name and email address for that information. Now, a lot of people say, I just want to give out information, I don't want to solicit their details. We find that most people are willing to give you their name and email for content, basically. And obviously, a lot of businesses have a newsletter, but if you have put in your name and email address for this piece of content that solves this problem, you're going to build your database. And a database in marketing is an absolute goldmine for generating new sales. So you need to find ways of building that database. And the other thing is what's called a remarketing list. So the internet gives you this ability to focus in on particular people who've, say, visited your website or visited your landing pages, which we can talk about another time. But basically that retargeting list is key, because you can then start to follow those people around, which I'll talk about a bit more later on. And more importantly, if you can start nurturing those people, you can start to build that trust with content. And then most importantly, the last step of the process. So, obviously capture them in earlier, then you're building the trust, and then when they're ready to buy, you can build that value to the point of making a decision. But then obviously don't stop there. Stats show 6 times more expensive to get a new customer to turn over an existing one. So once they're a customer, that is a marketing opportunity there, and also the other opportunity is referrals. So when you're looking at marketing, you need to see this whole process, and people don't find a problem and then jump straight into a decision. They research, they're on the internet, they know more about the sunglasses now than the guy selling the sunglasses. So you can leverage this for your business and your marketing to increase your customers and boost your cash flow, which is why you're on this presentation today. So 2 things that are quite critical in this is the next step. So I talked about the next step. So one of the first steps you always need to look at is, obviously people say, get in touch with us. Now that's important that people get in touch with you. But that's like getting married before going on the date. People don't know who you are yet. Are they going to just make a commitment at that point from your website? They need to try, they need to test, they need to see who you are, and are you the right business for their needs. So the most important offer you need to initially make is an opt-in, a simple name, email, maybe phone number, but the more fields you add, the more expensive it really gets, because more people leave their name and email than put a phone number down because they're concerned about salespeople. But you need to have an offer that you can make for that, and that offer typically is some kind of content, like a report or a white paper or so on. And then you have your meeting, and this is where you want to lead people to. So the first one is give us your name and email address, and that starts a marketing relationship. And then you've got the meeting offer, and most people say, we do a free quote or get in touch, but how do you package that offer up? How do you make it more valuable? How do you make it so it's really, really compelling and people willing to take advantage of that offer? So these are in lead generation, these are your 2 most important offers. Your first one, which is your opt-in offer, get their name and email, maybe phone number, and the other one is the offer that you make for them to meet you, because if they meet you, that is going to get you much closer to the buying process. Now the thing that's missing in between that is a lot of people say, we've done this before, we've got a gift on our website, they put in the name and email address, we've never heard from them since, they just got the information. So the reason why that's happening is typically because they don't trust you yet, and they didn't really think you were the right fit for their business. So what I put in the middle here is between your opt-in offer and your meeting offer is trust. And you've got to ask yourself this question: how do you build trust with these people so they do want to meet with you, sit down, nose to nose, toes to toes, have a meeting, and talk about what you can do for them. So this is where the 5th way of improving your digital marketing presence comes in, because now we're going to talk about how to become the trusted expert with high quality content. It's all about content. So the first lot of content we talked about was more sales content. So it's more about your uniqueness, your value, your positioning, and that's really when they're ready to buy. This type of content is really about making yourself an expert and starting that trusted relationship. Because people buy who they know, like, and trust. So if you can have a personality, have some advice, give them something of value on an ongoing basis. So one of the ideas we go with is frequency over reach. So people might opt in with a name and email address for a piece of content, but you need to have multiple touch points before they get to the point of buying from you. So basically, we need to get people to know you, like you, and trust you, so they want to meet with you. So you got to ask that question, why are they not taking the next step? And it is because they don't know, like, and trust you. So you need to help them take that next step. And that's going to happen by positioning yourself and your company as a trusted expert with that content. So how do you do this? How do you produce high quality content? Now, content, articles and blogs and so on, a lot of people struggle to write them. They've tried to outsource them before. Those people don't say the right things. Really, there's a framework to work within with this type of content. It's got to be targeted to their problems and fears and needs, as we talked about before, and it's got to be relevant. It can't be just a wall of text. I like to break content up into bite-sized pieces, and it needs to be positioned right to their needs. And it can't be just waffly content. It needs to be sharp, it needs to be compelling, it needs to be valuable, and it needs to be useful, and it needs to build trust and credibility with you and your company. So what type of content? So there's all this different type of content. It could be how-to or steps or mistakes or what you didn't know about or case studies. There's a range of content, but it's typically not selling, it's all giving. And the model that I go with is 90% information, 10% sell. So you have 90% of it is a giveaway, and then that 10% call to actions them to your next step offer. So the other thing about this content is it needs to be keyword rich. So you need to enrich it, and you need to write content based on what people are looking for. So obviously doing keyword research, where you find what people are Googling, what people are searching for, that will become the focus of your content writing, because it'll start to be picked up by search engines if you start to build your authority and do some good search engine optimization in that content, so you can rank well in Google and get more leads and inquiries. One of the clients we're working with actually has an article on his website, and he gets traffic from all over the world, and it's on cash flow problems. And he ranks in Australia, ranks in the UK, and he brings all this traffic because he wrote an article that was related to the search that people are looking for in business, which is they have cash flow problems. The next thing we're going to look at here is how to improve your advertising ROI and how to get more bang for buck from your advertising and marketing online. Obviously, we all know now that there's these great advertising systems we can use for digital marketing. You've got Facebook, you've got Google AdWords, and so on. But how do you get better ROI from it? So that's what we're going to be talking about now. Now, the three main things we look at when we're doing digital marketing is, the first one is traffic. So obviously your advertising system brings in traffic. Now, traffic is good, but unless you have a system that's set up to turn that traffic into customers, there's no point doing it. It's just a waste of money. So what you really need to look at is conversion, and conversion is very much what we've been talking about today. How do you target their problems? How do you position yourself uniquely, build value? How do you have these next step offers so they're taking that next action along the process? A lot of people calling this at the moment a funnel, because people are at these different stages in the buying process, and they need to be funneled to your next step offer so they get in touch with you. And obviously if you have that meeting, then you're going to get more sales. So what we've really been looking around today is conversion, but we do need to look at traffic to bring people into that conversion process, and that'll lead you to more sales and revenue in your business. So the two things I like to look at when running campaigns, and the two most performing I've found, is search ads and social ads. So search ads are people looking for either a company or information. As you know, you do it all the time on Google. And social ads are giving people the ability to put a message in front of someone's face and say, hey, have you thought about this? Get this thing. So we want to look at both of those. Now, you're probably saying, I've ran both of those, and maybe has it been effective? Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. So we want to look at today how to improve those, and I'm going to give you 3 tips to improve the effectiveness of both your search ads and your social ads. So the first one is tightening up your search campaigns. So what I find is when people run a campaign on Google, they're essentially just creating an ad on AdWords. They get a phone call from the Google AdWords people, and there's a phone number there, and they go in and they do a bit of stuff, and a lot of the time people are just adding in a bunch of keywords into a campaign, and they run it and it brings in all this relevant traffic, and they spend all this money, and they don't actually know what they're doing. Or you find people that are a little bit more savvy, they make it a little bit more targeted. But the first thing I want you to look at with any of your search campaigns is really how to tighten them up. You've got to go, what is going to get you the best cost per click? And that is what's called quality score. Google is all about quality. And their quality score is based on what are they searching for, what is the ad you're feeding them, and what is the landing page. And if you can get those things lined up, the first thing is you're going to be putting ads in front of people that they'll respond to because it's relevant. And the second thing is Google rewards that behavior. So they basically improve your cost per click based on your quality, because they're trying to get people to run more targeted ads. So you need to look at your campaigns, more importantly your ad groups, and those keyword sets associated with those ad groups. And the type of keywords you set up with the broad match and the phrase match and so on, which if you want to talk to us about that, there's some good strategies on how to run those as well. Now with social, it's a bit different. It's more about how you're getting the right creative in front of the right people that's relevant, and that relevance improves your cost per click. So when we're running social ads, we're going, how do we get that creative in front of the right people so more people respond? A lot of people are still running these very broad social campaigns, and they're not getting the results. You need a targeted message to a targeted audience, so people are going to engage with that message. So like quality score with Facebook, there is a relevance score that they have, and you need to line up that creative with different audiences, and you need to test what creative works with different audiences. And the creative and the messaging that you use, you might be surprised. The one that you thought doesn't work actually works really, really well and responds well with that particular audience. Or you might try several audiences and they're not performing, and then this one audience performs really, really well. So you really need to test that creative and those various audiences, and try some more narrow audiences so you can get some cut through with your message. The third thing that people are just completely missing out on is retargeting. So you're spending all this money getting people to your website, running Google ads, running Facebook ads, but people still aren't doing enough retargeting to follow up those leads. And basically retargeting is ads that are focused just on people who have visited your website or your landing page, because those people there, they've already made it there, you've already spent that money. So focus in on feeding ads specifically to those people by setting up the right tracking systems in your website for both whether it's the Google ads or whether you're doing Facebook ads, and really build in a really good retargeting strategy into your overall campaigns. Now the last thing is about getting the right help with implementation, and this is where everybody falls flat on their face. And the amount of war stories I've had with people dealing with agencies and consultants and social media people and website people and so on, trying to pull those people in to get those people to do what they want, because you're running a business, you don't have time, and you want to get people to help you. And there are things that you actually need to do, you need to think about, or have someone to help you think about. So when you go to those skill sets, they understand, what the focus is going to be. So what I want to talk about now briefly is implementation. And my point here is, don't go solo, find someone to help. So this is all about getting it done. You need to implement it. It's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to get it done. What do they say? It's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. So the implementation of this is really where it all comes together. And you've got to ask yourself these questions. Are you going to do it yourself, or are you going to outsource it? Now, outsourcing is an effective model, and there's different types of outsourcing. You could partner with one company that takes care of your marketing for you, or you can go out and manage all those skill sets and recruit them yourself. And you've got to look at that to go, what, should I have partnered with someone, or should I be managing a whole team of people? And there are things you do need to do yourself. Some people are willing to do more themselves. If you are going to do more yourself, you need to invest in training and understanding. But why aren't you running your business? Why are you focusing on these menial tasks and these things? You just want to run your business and have customers. So really, is doing it yourself the best option? So you've got to ask yourself that question. Do it yourself is more of a time investment on your side. Outsourcing is more money. But why are we doing this? We're doing this to get sales. So outsource so you can have a growing and thriving business. So that time versus money principle. Are you going to invest time or are you going to invest money? But if you invest money, obviously you want an ROI. Otherwise, it's not a good investment. So these are all the areas: strategy, content, design, websites, landing pages, paid campaigns, email marketing. There's all of these areas. There's search engine optimization, there's social media. These are just a few because there's only so much space on the circle, but there are a lot of areas that you need to look at when implementing your digital marketing strategies for your business. Now, what will you need help with? Now, people do say, Jordan, how can you help us? So there are areas that I think you are going to need help with. You're going to need help to deep dive into the understanding of your market. The other thing is you're going to need help with your unique positioning. Really, what is it that you do that's unique? You need to build that value. Like sometimes looking at what you have and you're kind of in it all the time, sometimes it's good to have someone take a step back and say, this is what, and this is where your value lies. Obviously, capturing leads and having offers and landing pages, all of those things need to be strategized. Obviously, they need to be built, but they need to be thought through as well. You need to get more from your content marketing and your SEO strategy, and that content needs to be driven by the right messages and the search traffic. Improving your advert targeting is going to be critical as well, and getting into the technical parts of the advertising system so we can really get really good ROI from it, and then working out the strategy to implementation of your online marketing. So doing all of that, but really taking that journey and that process so you do get not just the results, but implement what's needed to get those results. So if you want to have a 30-minute strategy session, feel free to book it today. I've tried to be as generous as I can with improving your digital marketing presence. But please get in contact with us. We'll have a chat. We'll talk about your unique situation. We can work out a best plan of how to implement these things for your business, and then really look at those options of what can you do yourself versus what would be a good outsourced arrangement. So fill out that form, press the button below. You'll be taken to another page. It'll give you a bit more detail about some of the things we can talk about. Fill it out, and someone will get in touch with you as soon as possible.